The one chapter in the Bible that rabbis don't want you to read. They're terrified of this one chapter, y'all. Let's get started. Welcome to TGC, giving all praises to the Most High all the time. TGC Ministries is back at y'all with another one. All right, y'all, I'm Priest Akai. Make sure you hit that like button. Let me fix my camera work here. Okay. All right, that'll do. When y'all come in, make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe, share all the stuff. I'm gonna get right into it, y'all. We got a good one today. The one Bible chapter rabbis don't want you to read. The one Bible chapter that rabbis are terrified about. Maybe I'll put a link in the chat for the smoke, but we're gonna start it like this. You guys should know this rabbi. You guys should know Rabbi Tovia Singer. I reached out to my brother Bryson Gray to try to get in contact with Rabbi Tovia Singer. And if he watches this somehow, some way, we would love to have a discussion on a few things as it pertains to the Mashiach, the Messiah, in the Old Testament in general. For those of you who don't know, Orthodox Jewry, they do not subscribe to the New Testament. I don't even believe they subscribe to the Apocrypha books. Peace and blessings to the chat. I see y'all fall in, climb in, y'all. We got a banger today. And I see there was a few comments earlier on my Facebook and on the YouTube chat before I even started the stream saying that Isaiah 53 is not about who the world calls Jesus or Yeshua or Yahushai, the Messiah who is spoken about in the New Testament. That's the school of thought and the understanding from the Orthodox Jewish community that Isaiah 53 is about. They'll either say the nation of Israel, they'll say the prophets, or they'll say the righteous of Israel. And I believe that is Rabbi Tovia's position, that it is the righteous of Israel. So we want to go into some of his exegetical points that he goes into in the pericope, because it's not just Isaiah 53. It's pretty much 10 chapters, I believe, of this servant. Who is this servant? So we want to talk about that today. And why do they deny it? Why do they deny who this chapter is really about in this suffering servant? Is there a motive? Is there an agenda? Is it just a lack of understanding? Are they doing this by design? So we're going to talk about it today. I want to say fair use. This is going to be my thoughts, our thoughts and comments on this content. We're going to let this play, and then we're going to go into the JPS Tanakh. That'll be their preferred translation. I have it pulled up here. We're going to go into some sources, some other verses, and we're going to demonstrate today, y'all, that Isaiah 53 is emphatically talking about who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, the man written of in the New Testament. So let's play this.
Really comes from, and is that where some of the confusion comes from? Thank you very much. It's mentioned that it really starts from 3 verses earlier, and seemingly 2 Roman legionnaires are not kings of nations. So is that mistake of the chapter break just from the chapter break from the 13th century when the church made it? Or is it something a little bit more? Because I actually noticed when I was checking up before I called that it is a parsha stuma, technically. It's a technical point maybe for the show. But is that where the chapter break really comes from? And is that where some of the confusion comes from? Thank you very much.
All right, go ahead and hang up now, Tony, for your answer. This could be the last question of the show. We'll see how it plays out. Rabbi?
So he asked about the chapter breaks in between Isaiah 52 and 53. We're going to hear Rabbi Tovia Singer explain. Now, my position, of course, is that Isaiah 53, the suffering servant, is in fact an individual who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, that it happened already. They take it as a future messianic age prophecy, eschatology, and that's where they're going to die at as far as in a debate or discussion on this matter. And the reason why I want to just play, and I'm going to let it play, but the reason why they're denying the Messiah being who the world calls Christ, fulfilling Isaiah 53, is because that would disqualify them from being and dwelling in that land. Why? The Messiah is supposed to come back and take the Israelites to the land, which we'll pull that up. And you have to believe on him in order to be righteous and be brought back to the land in the which they deny him. There's only 8% of Jewish people on the earth that believe in the Messiah that will be called a Messianic Jew. Let's go.
There is a pericope that really starts with 52 verse 13 and ends in 53 verse 12. Pericope is a bundle of passages that belong together, that are strongly related. So this is one. However, there's a reason why there's an ending at the end of 52 verse 12. There's a stuma, which means an ending. There is a reason why 52 verse 50 verse 15 and 53:1 are separated by a chapter, and that is who is speaking. If I tell you that people find themselves in the Christian religion because they have no clue who is speaking in these passages, and as it turns out, within this one bundle of passages, you do have 3 sections within the pericope. The first section is 52 verse 13. Hine yaska avdi yarm v'nisa v'goy ma'od, behold my servant.
Do you guys want to end this debate right now? Do you guys want to end this debate right now? He's saying that Isaiah 52 and 13, this is where it all starts. And this is about the suffering servant. And his position is this is like the righteous Israelites. It's not one Messiah. You guys want to end this right now? Let's take a look at the Targum Jonathan. And it's not just this, but we could close it out right now. In the Targum Jonathan, Isaiah 52 and 13. Let me do a close-up here. The Targum Jonathan, or the Targum, is the Aramaic scrolls of commentary, how we understood the text. Do I follow this wholeheartedly? No, but this is right here. Why? Because not just this, the context of Isaiah and the suffering servant in general prove this to be correct. Look at Isaiah 52 and 13. It says, behold my servant, the Messiah. Everybody see that? Behold my servant, the Messiah, shall prosper. He shall be exalted and extolled, and he shall be very strong. Singular pronoun, singular masculine pronoun, and is being called the Messiah. The servant is the Messiah, singular individual. First century source of how we understood the text, how we understood the prophecy, how we understood the suffering servant. How Israelites understood the suffering servant of Isaiah. The Targum Jonathan, Isaiah 52 and 13 says, behold my servant, the Messiah. We can end it right here, but it's about to get even worse. And I pray that one day me and Tovia Singer can definitely have a discussion on this. Let's go back.
Which is Israel, we know from before. But who is speaking? Behold my servant, which is Israel, we know from before. But who is speaking?
So he admitted it. He's saying the servant is Israel. The Targum Jonathan is saying the servant is the Messiah. And the context does as well, the rest of the pericope. So let's keep going.
There. That's what's key. Who's speaking in 52 verse 13? God is speaking. Behold, my servant will be very wise, will be raised up, even though people, so the nation of Israel is a wretched people. What's going to happen? King Yazek, Goyim Rabbim. Nations are going to be shocked. Why? They're going to look upon him, and what are they going to find? What would they going to discover? Something completely perplexing. What was not told to them, Ra'u, they will see. They will see something that they had never heard before. And what they had never heard, they will finally understand. So God is speaking there. So that's why there is sense in that cutoff. Because there, God is telling us that the Goyim had the nations of the world had a completely mistaken understanding about the Jew. The Jew is a misunderstood nation. The nations looked at the Jew as an accursed nation, as a dark nation, as an ugly nation. But this is a messianic section. But at the end of days, the Goyim are going to go, wow. They're going to put their hands over their mouth, and they're going to be in complete shock. Could you imagine? Mashiach is going to come now. We're very, very close to the end. We're in the last moments now. It's already happening. It's unfolding now. Do you know what's going to happen in the world? Do you understand how the world's going to be shocked? The Jew, who we hated and despised and thought was the ugliest? And
so I'm gonna let it keep playing, but I just kind of want to weigh in just a little bit, put my 2 cents in. Again, he's saying that the suffering servant is Israel, and it's saying he was despised and rejected, and he's saying that that's what's for one. Your people are not despised and rejected by and large. You are protected by and large. You have monopolized a term, Semite, to only apply to you when it applies to everybody that comes from Shem. How are you just this rejected nation, a misunderstood nation, but get billions to you annually? Your Iron Dome, the missiles that you use for your Iron Dome are America provided, USA provided. Let's not talk about the NFL and NBA teams, the banking system, the sovereignty, the autonomy. Let's not talk about the music industry. Let's not talk about the media, all owned by thee. So that can't be the proper interpretation. Let's continue.
Now we're going to see, when I say the Jew, I don't mean whatever his name, that Hungarian rich guy. I don't mean the senator from Vermont. I don't mean these people. I don't mean anything. Don't take it politically or anything, but these are not religious Jews. Okay. I don't mean these people. I don't mean Karl Marx, who was of Jewish extraction, but he was a disgusting person, or all these guys. I mean, the Freud. Sigmund Freud was one of the, I mean, whatever you want to say, he was a genius or insightful in coming up with, he was a horrible person. I just thought.
Notice how, and it's crazy because I'm on YouTube, so I can't really say what I want to say, but notice how he's trying to contrast, a good one versus a bad one, but he can't even think of a good one. He's like, the good ones. He points out all the bad ones, but who's the notable, famous good one?
Terrible, terrible person. As a person, he was a horrible. I don't mean these people. To all the people who are truly the devout, the servant, those who are loyal to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And so that's where the break is. The break 53:1 is, now the Goyim begins speaking. From 53:1 through 53:8, the Gentile kings of nations are speaking.
Did you guys hear that? I never heard that before. He just said, and from 53:1 to 53:8 is Gentile nation speaking. We're gonna fact check that right now. We're gonna fact check that right now. I never heard that. Young Simp at the water for the super chat donation. Greatly appreciate you, my dear beloved. May the Most High bless you 100-fold. So now, again, we're in the JPS Tanakh. So, and he said that from verse 1 to verse 8 is Gentile king speaking. Let's plug that in to the context and see if that makes sense. And he says it's talking about the Messianic age. Watch this, y'all.
3:1 through 53:8, the Gentile kings of nations are speaking in the Messianic age.
So now, Isaiah 50, this is the length you have to go to twist the Bible to reject the Messiah. Isaiah 53:1 to 53:8 is Gentile kings speaking, and it's in the Messianic age. So watch this, everybody. Okay. Who would have believed our report? He's saying that this is Gentile king speaking in the Messianic age. I'm going to show you guys how this makes zero sense. And to whom had the arm of the Lord been revealed? For he shot up right forth as a sapling and as a root out of dry ground. So mind you, the he here is righteous Israelites, according to him. And the people speaking are Gentile kings. He had no, look at this, everybody. He had no form of comeliness that we should look upon him, nor beauty that we should delight in him. This means, according to Rabbi Tovia Singer, Gentile kings are saying about Israelites in the Messianic age that they're not beautiful, there's no royalty in them, they have no notoriety, they're insignificant, they're persona non grata, essentially. How make that make sense? Because for one, if this is the Messianic age, the Israelites, all of them are now in their glory. They're in the new covenant. They are the hegemony of the earth. You guys understand that? Why would the Gentile kings be saying to righteous Israelites, oh, they have no form of comeliness or no beauty that we should delight in them? They're despised and forsaken of men. Oh, this is so bad. I actually feel bad for Rabbi Tovia Singer, because he would have had a point if he said this wasn't the Messianic age. But he said this is the Messianic age where Israel is in their heightened glory, their glorified state. How do we know that? Right when the Messiah comes back, Israel is put on high. Zechariah 8:23. It says, this is what the Lord's army says. In those days, 10 people from all languages and all nations, let me share my screen, shall take hold of him that is a Jew by the hem of his robe and say, let us go with you, because we have heard that God is with you. This is the Messianic age. This is what you would call the beginning of the millennial reign. One may not believe that. I believe the seventh trumpet starts the eternal order. Some believe that the millennial reign and then the eternal order starts after that. But the point is when the Messiah comes back, he saves Israel. He takes them to their land. Jeremiah 23, verse 5. The days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will raise up for David a righteous branch. A king will reign. This is the Messiah. He's going to reign. Why would he reign and the rest of his people not be reigning and be forsaken and despised? Makes no sense. Look at this. And do what is just and right in the land. In his days, Judah will be saved. Israel will live safely. This is the name by which he will be called, the Lord our righteous Savior. What are we talking about? Then you have Micah 4. Micah chapter 4, in the Messianic age, It says, verse 2, many nations will come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the temple of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us his ways. It's replicated again in Isaiah chapter 2. Same thing. So for him to say that Isaiah 53, verse 1 to 8 is Gentile king speaking, and it's in the Messianic age, he is absolutely eisegeting, narcegeting the text. A narcegetic hermeneutic, which is a phrase I coined. So here we're back in Isaiah 53 and 2, and he's saying this is the Messianic age and that Israelites would have no form. And he's saying this is the righteous Israelites. The righteous Israelites are going to shine bright like the firmament according to the Bible, according to the Torah in the Messianic age. Let me get that real quick. And I'm going to come right there, y'all. I'm just popping this corn right now. I'm just popping this corn right now and putting butter all over it. Daniel 12. In Daniel 12, we see verse 3, Messianic age, those who are wise will shine like the brightness of the heavens, and those who led many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. Why is it doing that? Okay, there we go. So let's go back here to the JPS Tanakh. Verse 3, the righteous Israelite, I'm speaking from his perspective. He's saying that he is righteous Israelites. He was despised and forsaken of men and of pains acquainted with disease, and as one from whom men hide their faces. How are the Gentile nations hiding their faces from righteous Israelites in the Messianic age when they have to learn from righteous Israelites in the Messianic age, and we have to be a light to them in the Messianic age, Isaiah 60. How are they hiding their face? I feel bad for Tovia Singer and his interpretation of this Messianic prophecy. Surely our disease he did bear. So let me tell you something funny, y'all. He's saying that this is the Gentile kings talking, which is absolutely nonsense. And the suffering servant is righteous Israelites. Well, by your own admission, Tovia Singer, you will be saying that Gentiles are receiving salvation here, that the Messiah is coming to save Gentiles, which, if you believe in rabbinic tradition and rabbinic sources, they don't say that. So we see, if this is Gentile king speaking all the way to verse 8, it says this. Oh, okay, my bad. So no, so he doesn't believe this is a singular Messiah. Excuse me, I'm conflating or convoluting. He's again saying that these are righteous Israelites. So how are righteous Israelites bearing the diseases and pains of the Gentile kings? Can somebody make sense of that for me? Whereas we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. So this would be Gentile kings saying that the Israelites in the Messianic age are afflicted. The affliction is over at the arrival of the Messiah. This is bad Bible. But he was wounded because of our transgressions. Now, let me get this straight. If the he here is righteous Jews, how the hell are they wounded for the transgressions of Gentile kings? He was crushed because of our iniquities. The chastisement of our welfare was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. So how bad Israelites get beat, then that means that, what? One second, y'all, 1 second. My apologies, y'all. 1 second. This is bad Bible, and somebody came on my comment board on Facebook and YouTube and said that his breakdown was on point. Where you at? Where are you at, brother? Matter of fact, let me see if he's on Facebook, because I'm gonna tell him to click the link right now. You guys want to see a dead body? You guys want to see a dead body? Let me just go on my Facebook real quick, and let's get some smoke in here, y'all. Let's get some smoke in here. Let me furnish him the link. He's probably watching right now, though. You know how these guys be. You know how these guys be. You know how these guys be. Okay. So, bad Bible from Tovia Singer. Had to do him like this, though. Let me pin that comment, though, real quick. How do I pin the comment? Okay, I'll do that later. All right, so let's continue here. Now, we just debunked easily that this verse 1 to 8 is not during the Messianic age. It makes zero sense. It contradicts all the prophecy. But now let's prove that this is not Gentile kings talking. This is actually Isaiah talking. Verse 8. By oppression and judgment he was taken away, and with his generation who did reason? For he was cut off out of the land of the living. So you mean to tell me all righteous Israelites would have to perish in the Messianic age too? Even before the Messianic age? Zero sense. How does he get away with this and be labeled as a scholar and have all these subscribers? And narrow is the gate. Narrow is the gate, and few there be. Narrow is the gate in the path to the kingdom, and few there be that find it. And I'm okay with that. So here's what proves this is not Gentile kings talking here, according to Tovia Singer, but this is Isaiah. For the transgression of my people, to whom the stroke was due. So this is saying that the he here has to die for the transgression of Isaiah's people. And again, you might ask, well, priests, what is their agenda? Why are they breaking it down so ridiculously? What is the motive behind it? And it's very simple, everybody. If they admit that this is the Messiah, then this happened already, and that the land over there, should not be trodden down or occupied by said people or people over there. And that would just disrupt so many things in the earth. A whole network of false identity, hidden identity, a world of complicit accessories who took part in this scandal, the biggest scandal ever. You guys should know what I'm talking about. So let's go back here.
And they're mamish nishtaiming. They are absolutely shocked. And that's why the first passage begins with a question, and it's really a rhetorical question. The rhetorical question, Mihem Lishmu Asenu, who would have believed what we now heard? Look at the last words. I don't make this complicated, but 52 verse 15 is Vashel Loishamu Hisbarnu. What they had not heard, Hisbarnu, they will understand. Mihem and Lishmu Asenu. Same word, Shema, hear. Who would have believed what we're now hearing? Uzroy Hashem Ami Niglusa, and the armored Lord. Look who it is being unplugged, who it's open to. So there are three sections in this pericope. 52 verse 13 through 15, God is speaking, telling us that my servant is going to be raised up. Verse 14 is, in the past, all the goyim thought that you are low and filthy.
Why do you have to stratify and make a complete mess out of the pericope? This is a prime example of when your doctrine drives the transcript instead of the transcript driving the doctrine. This is a perfect example of that. Your transcript is not, the transcript is not driving the doctrine. What you've been taught, what you've been handed down, your man-made tradition and false understanding is driving in the transcript, causing you to have to play mental gymnastics and semantics with your audience. So in 52 to, he says in 52 to 52:13 to 53:1, that's Hashem speaking, and then from 53:1 to 8, that's the Gentile king speaking, and then Isaiah speaks, and then Shrek speaks, and then the donkey speaks, and then Pinocchio speaks, and then it's a whole clown show. It's a whole circus. It's a whole circus. And we already went, and I'm so glad, again, I'm so glad that he said that it's Hashem, it's the Most High speaking in verse 13, when we have the Targum Jonathan, 1st century BC, even if you say 1st century CE, you have commentary on Isaiah saying, behold, my servant, the Messiah. He does not say, my servant, Israel, my servant, the prophets, my servant, righteous Israel, righteous Israelites. He says, my servant, the Messiah.
Filthy and dirty and horrible. And 15, finally, the goyim are going to see the emes. Okay, and it says they're kings of nations, so you know it's talking about the goyim. This is what everyone doesn't get. If you don't understand Isaiah 83, because you don't know who's speaking. If you don't know who's speaking, go home. Now, is Isaiah easy? No. Why? Because almost all of it is poetry. 95% of Isaiah is poetry. And we could say many things about poetry, but one of them is very important. If texts are employing some sort of poetry, this dense language, symbolic language, the context becomes essential to survive and understand them. Do you get that? Do you understand what I said? I want to make this point. The reason why so many good people are lost and go astray is because Isaiah 53, like almost all of Isaiah, is poetry. And whenever you have texts that are employing this imagery, this dense language, this biblical poetry, there's no one uses the Hebrew language more exquisitely than the author of Isaiah. No one. There's no parallel to it.
The authors of Isaiah. Who knows why I'm saying authors of Isaiah? Who knows why I'm saying authors of Isaiah? But that is true. Most of the prophets are using literary devices in their writings. They're not declarative most of the time. for sure. But still, even with that, context helps us understand predominantly. Context supersedes etymology predominantly. So what we did was we took a hermeneutic and said, let's plug in his understanding that the he is righteous Israelites, and that's in the Messianic age. And so we plugged that in and we approached it in that way, that method. And what conclusion did we come to? That is T-Rash. I mean T-Rash. I have to say it that way, respectfully. You would be better off saying that this is one Messiah and that, but it hasn't happened yet. But if you say that, then you're still in a catch-22. You're still in a conundrum. You're still in a pit in which you cannot climb out. Because Isaiah 53 happened already. It cannot be future. Why, everybody? It's speaking about this Messiah being despised, rejected, forsaken, hidden from, not esteemed, afflicted, killed. What are we talking? And that's not going to happen in the future, in the Messianic age. How do we know? The Messiah is coming back when it says Jeremiah 23 and 6 and 5 and 6, justice. He will reign. He will reign in the earth. Daniel chapter 7 says what? 7 verse 14, he was given authority, glory, and sovereign power. All nations and peoples of every language worshiped him. This cannot be forsaken, despised, rejected, and afflicted. Psalms chapter 72, I think it's verse 10. May the kings of Tarshish and of distant shores bring tribute to him. May the kings of Sheba and Seba present him with gifts. May all kings bow down to him and all nations serve him. Therefore, Isaiah 53 cannot be in the Messianic age, eschatology, future from today. It can't. You guys are in an absolute pickle. Banana in the tailpipe. Any questions, comments, and smoke so far? Any questions, comments, and smoke so far? Let it be known in the chat. It could be on this or anything. I'm ready to pack something out. I'm ready to turn into a professional swimmer. Okay, I'm looking at the chat. Let me know, y'all. Okay, let's go back here.
Now, we could say many things about this. One of those things is that when you have books, it's almost the entire book is poetry, with the exception of maybe 5 chapters. Could you imagine that?
Yeah, post the Passover link in the chat. Passover link, Genesis TGC Ministries Passover. What a glorious and beautiful feast day to the Lord. Post that link in the chat. We'll put it in the description box as well. Let's keep going.
If a book is almost all poetry or symbolic language, or this very dense language, there are many things we could say about it. One of them is that the context becomes vital.
Yeah.
Without it, you cannot even begin to understand it.
Yeah.
And that's why everyone gets in trouble. Now, to
No,
bring up
you're
this
in
point,
trouble.
if I may, just take out 60 seconds. If we take a chapter in the Bible that's has no poetry at all in it, you don't need the context. Lamashal, for example, Leviticus chapter 11 is a chapter devoted to telling us which animals are clean and unclean, how to know if a land animal and a marine animal, what are the identifying features of a clean animal and unclean animal, right? And then the Torah tells us there are animals that have one that don't have the other. You can't eat them. Okay, so if I want to know if I'm in the forest in Indonesia, right, and I see a behemoth, I see an animal, and I want to know, is this a clean animal or unclean animal? I really can read Leviticus 11 out of context and know if this is a clean animal or not a clean animal. Again, does it have split hooves? It's not a pig. It's 100%. You can slaughter it and eat it. Now, how to slaughter, Deuteronomy 12:21, you have to know the oral Torah, properly remove the blood, and so on. You understand? So it's not rocket science.
So here's something I will admit that a lot of Israelites fail to do. Christians, of course, like context. I don't think Christians ever get the context right. I mean, like, very rarely do they get the context right. But when you deal with Isaiah chapter 41, I think it even starts at chapter 40, the whole servant language, the whole servant theme, you start seeing that. What Rabbi Tovia Singer fails to understand, and I'm going to show all you guys this today as well, is that Israel can be the servant and the Messiah can be the servant as well. Context supersedes etymology. So you have to understand and go by the context to see, is this speaking about the individual Messiah, or is this speaking about Israelites in general? Here in Isaiah 41, we see, you, Israel, are my servant, Jacob, whom I chose, the seed of Abraham, my friend. We understand that, yes, this is not the Messiah. Rabbi Tovia Singer, knowing that Isaiah is 95% poetic, should understand this, but he doesn't. For example, everybody, watch this. Let's go to Isaiah 49. If the servant is Israel all the time, then for one, you're destroyed at Isaiah 53, but not just there, other places too. In Isaiah 49 and 3, watch how it changes who the servant is within 3 verses. Isaiah 49 and 3, and said unto me, thou art my servant, O Israel, in whom I will be glorified. Wait a second though. Look at verse 6. And he said, it is a light thing that thou should be my servant to raise up the 12 tribes of Jacob. Now, this is the Messiah right here. But it just said that the Messiah was talking about the Israelite people. Now it's making it singular here as an individual. How do we know? Because he's raising up the 12 tribes of Jacob and to restore the preserved of Israel. This is messianic language. Oh, I'm going to further prove it. He will also give this servant for a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the end of the earth. Now, even if we didn't have the New Testament, understand salvation only comes through the Messiah, who the world calls Christ, we still would not take the position that the Gentiles' salvation comes through Israelites. You still wouldn't take that position, because what does Isaiah 11 say? Isaiah 11 says that to this righteous branch, the Messiah, to him shall the Gentiles seek. They still have to go through him, whether it's New Testament or Old Testament precedent, bars. But watch this though, y'all. Look at this in verse 8. Verse 8 is going to further prove that this servant is one individual Messiah when it changes context. Thus saith the Lord, in an acceptable time I have heard thee, the Messiah. And then in the day of salvation have I helped thee. This is a cut on the Trinity. If Christ is God, according to the Trinity, that false doctrine, then why does Christ need help? Christians say, yes, he's the most high God, and the Father's the most high God, and the Holy Spirit's the most high God. Why would the most high need help? Think about that. But look what it says. I will preserve thee. The Most High saying he's going to preserve this servant and give you for a covenant of the people. Wait a second. If this is Israel, if the thee here is Israel, how is Israel bringing in the new covenant for the people? For what people? For the Gentiles? That don't make no sense. So this clearly is telling you that this servant would die to bring in the new covenant for the people, who are the people, the Israelites. This is how we know servant could be interchangeable with all of Israel, righteous Israel, and then the one Messiah, Hamashiach. You understand? Let's go back.
But you have to know the context. You have to know Isaiah 40. You know, you were sweeping into Mashiach 41 that tells you the servant is Israel, that people are not all Israel, but those who emulate Avram Avinu, that speak in the name of Hashem, 42 verse 6, who are part of the covenant nation, the 43 verse 10, that they are witnesses to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and there is no savior besides them, and they recognize that there's no one before and after God. And you have to know 44 verse 1 and 21 and 45 1, 48 20 and 49 3. You have to read it all. You have to. I'm telling you now. If not, you're lost. But what a beautiful thing to read it in context. But to get back to this point, these 15 passages, starting from 52:13 and ending in 53:12, are separated only by who the speakers are. The first three verses, God is speaking. It's all the same pericope. They belong together. The first three passages, God is speaking about, whoa, these goyim are really going to be in for it when Mashiach comes.
And that is just complete convolution. It just is. We as students of the Bible, we as teachers of the Bible, have to be biblically responsible and accountable of what we say and what we teach, and the motives and the agendas, and who taught you it. Did you fact check it? Is this just a man-made tradition? Are you regurgitating and propagating and perpetuating things that you consider to be facts but are actually fallacies? That's a problem in every so-called religion, whether it's Judaism, Hebrew Israelism, Christianity, Islam. That's a problem. This is why the Bible said the Church of Berea was so important, because they took what you said and went to fact check it. Search the scriptures to see if it is true or not. Right? And so, conclusion of the matter, Isaiah 53 is not Gentile kings speaking. It's not in the Messianic age. It's not a group of individuals. It is one Messiah. It already happened. It's not eschatological. And it's fulfilled in who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. I didn't want to make this live show too long unless you guys got some questions, comments, or smoke. Post your questions, comments, or smoke in the chat. Like, share, subscribe, and super chat if you want to donate, if it's on your heart. We appreciate that. It goes to the ministry. And any questions, comments, or smoke, y'all, what's going on? Talk to me. What is it, Wednesday? Seahawks won the Super Bowl. The parade was today. I didn't go. The Seahawks are I'm a hometown Seattle born and raised. But definitely don't do the parades. I don't think it's that serious unless you put a bet in and they made you some money. Any questions, comments, and smoke for Priest Akkad in the chat? If not, we're gonna wrap this one up. All right. Make sure you guys like on the way out. Like the video. Thumb up the video. Share the video, subscribe. Maybe you have an Old Testament only family member or friend who is in danger of the lake of fire for not believing on the Messiah. And the only way to be saved from the wrath of God right now is to put your faith in the Messiah and do what he said do. Keep his father's law, statutes, and commandments. Walk with faith. Do not let sin reign in your life. What does Paul say in Romans? How can you who are dead to sin live any more therein? Repent. Deuteronomy 16. He says, Did you ever heard of Nicholas Brown? I haven't. I know your argument is going to be, can you keep Passover outside of the land? Yes, you can. The first 40 Passovers were outside of the land. Secondly, it is priests. Please address me as such. Secondly, we see in 2nd Ezra 13, the Northern Kingdom saying they're going to Arsarif to keep God's law, statutes, and commandments. Then we see Deuteronomy 30 saying that even when we're in exile, we got to keep all the laws that we can keep while in exile. Now, when we're in our own land with autonomy and sovereignty, then you got to make that pilgrimage 3 times a year. And what kind of liquor bottle do you have in your hand that looked like the cheapest tequila you could have ever found? Let's see. It's all good, brother. But post your question. Post your question as it pertains to that text. Oh, that's Jose Cuevo? No, that says when we're in Israel. You can't, when we are in Israel, when we occupy our land with sovereignty and autonomy, then there's no place that you can do it except for the temple. That's for one. Oh, you're talking about the sacrifice. Yeah, we're not sacrificing. If you think slaughtering a lamb and eating it is sacrificing at the altar at the temple, then you just shouldn't eat meat at all. This is a commemoration. It's not actually a sacrifice. You don't have the altar. You don't have the Levitical priests doing all that. How does Simeon have their own territory now if they were supposed to be absorbed in Judah? Wouldn't their descendants be wherever Judah is? What verse are you talking about? Yeah, brother. So you don't eat meat? It's just a bad interpretation of the Torah on your part, respectfully. Yeah, you're telling us to look up a word, but we want you to give a critical explanation. It's a specific type of right. All right, y'all. Also, too, join the Genesis Varsity Online Academy specializing in Hebrew apologetics. Join the Genesis Varsity Online Academy specializing in Hebrew apologetics, where you get the real deal. deeper than YouTube. You understand? Email me, deacon@genesis144.com, deacon@genesis144.com. Look, I appreciate y'all. A lot of Sephardim in Rhode Island, Nicholas Brown slave traders. Got you. Got you. Joshua 19:1. Or Genesis 49. Where in Genesis 49 does it say that they will be absorbed into Judah? Yeah, this is saying that they will have inheritance within the territory of Judah. So their inheritance, their land was stretched into Judah's territory. That's what it's saying. Okay, y'all. Again, appreciate y'all. It's been real TGC. We'll see y'all tomorrow with a powerful live stream if it be the Lord's will. Keep the edification going. Peace, blessings, and shalom.